Hey, welcome in. Today we're going to talk about a few things on your brake assembly, your axles, your tires, stuff like that. It's critical before we get out here. Right now in Alabama, it's about to be spring break time, and we're bringing this tip to you because the most important part about towing your camper is not only just the weight of your tow vehicle, but the brakes on the trailer being able to stop it. Safety is the number one thing, as everybody should consider. There's a few components that when you get ready to bring your unit in to a service center, or if you're going to try to do it yourself, the first things you need to take into mind is this is the ability to stop anywhere from 2 to 20,000 pound trailer, depending on what it is. Horse trailers, any trailer, this is recommended that you take into consideration. This setup here, if you'll bring the camera in, this setup here is a brake setup that is kind of slightly disassembled. This magnet does not fit this particular setup, but there's usually a magnet here. And what happens when you apply the brake on the vehicle and you have a 12-volt brake, the magnet will actually be engaged by 12-volt wires and come out and hit the surface of the hub. When that magnet catches the surface of the hub, it's going to push this out and expand your brake shoes into the outer edge and the stopping surface of the hub, and then of course on all four at the same time to slow down the unit in unison. Now, a few components that you have to take into consideration that are not a part of this, that heat is going to affect off the brakes, is your bearings and the grease in the assembly. So brake adjustment, packing your bearings, and making sure that your shoes and the surface of that hub is extremely critical. It's not necessarily just because there's traffic, because you want it to stop whether there's traffic in front of you or not. But this is a huge safety concern for the consumer, and you need to be looking at this. Different axles, I'm going to say 1 year, 10,000 miles. You need to be having your bearings packed, your brakes checked by a professional, and or with the authorized way that professionals would do it. I come from an area where I'm going to pack my own bearings. Even if I did not work at Burton Campers, I would have packed my own bearings, and my dad and grandfathers all would have also. So I understand that. Make sure that you're doing it safe, to make sure that you're doing it right. This is something that there's torque wrenches are involved. Making sure that you have this spindle nut, this a castle nut, the locks on it, making sure it's properly tightened and then actually even loosened so that the hub assembly and the tires all traveling free, but right within the tolerance that everything's supposed to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link from Dexter in the video. We really like Dexter. We really like their way of doing it. Find out which axles that you have. Go to that manufacturer, that OEM product. You don't have to do that to get your bearings. You don't have to do that to get the seals. But what the main thing that as a technician we hate to see is you using that Easy Lube packer, sending endless amounts of grease into your spindles, and then it comes out inside of the hub and it gets on this surface that this magnet cannot grab if there's grease on it. So guys, take and break down your axles and your hubs and your bearings at least once a year before you get out on the road.